everyone, welcome back to Melissa's Kitchen Table and another Fall Food Friday. I wanted to say thank you again to Fallon for hosting this, and thank you to all the other channels that have shown support. I am also watching all of your videos as well. It just takes time to get through all of them. There are so many fabulous ones out there, so I hope everybody's watching them all. So this week I am going to be making braised short ribs in the Instant Pot. And of course, when you think of fall, you think of cooler weather, sweaters, stuff like that. So braised short ribs are really nice to have. It's like a comfort food. So anyways, to get on with it, I have some short ribs here. And if you've ever seen our other videos, you know that we buy a side of a quarter cow. So this is why our meat comes in packages like this. I have approximately 5 pounds of ribs here. What I'm going to do is I am going to cook this in the Instant Pot. However, I am not going to saute them in the Instant Pot. And you can, but the only reason why I'm not is because sometimes I find the saute isn't as good, or it doesn't sear as good. So I'm going to do mine in a cast iron skillet, but of course you can go ahead and do yours in the Instant Pot. That's not a big deal at all. So I'm going to take these out of the package and I'm going to dry them all and season them with salt and pepper. Okay, so I'm going to get some oil in the pan over here. You want a higher heat oil just because this pan is really hot. If you're doing it in the Instant Pot, you should be fine with like olive oil. I happen to have some walnut oil that I want to use up, so that's what I'm using. And I don't use pepper, but you can. So you see I just seasoned one side. And I'm going to get that in there. I will season the other side. And we're going to cook these on medium heat for about 2 to 3 minutes. Now, if you see over here on the bone, if there's a silver skin on yours, you need to take that off because it's very tough, but ours is all set. You can get them that way from the butcher too if you'd like. So I'm going to do these in batches, like I said, 2 to 3 minutes per side. And this is what they look like after you flip them. You just want them nice and brown. So I'm going to take these out and do the next batch. Alright, so these look good to take out. And while I was searing all of these, I chopped up some carrots and celery. I still have to do my onions. But I have about 1 pound of carrots. And I cut them just into cubes like that. I did give my dog one, so it's like one less. I also used one thing, like one, I got a package of heart of celery. So it's not that big thing of celery. It's really small. About 4 to 5 ribs is what I use. You can use less. Some people don't actually like to use the vegetables. They just use them for flavor and throw them out. That's up to you. We like to use all of it. We don't want to waste. I'm going to get an onion sliced up and throw that in here as well. Alright, so we got that large onion in there. You don't have to add it if you don't like it. I just think it gives really a nice flavor. And again, we're on a medium heat. We're just sauteing all of this. So this is probably going to take about 5 minutes or so. Obviously, we're not cooking these. We're just starting them. So I do this for about 5 minutes, and then we'll get everything together. Alright, after about 4 minutes, I want to add our garlic. I'm going to add about 6 cloves worth. That's a lot of garlic, but that's a lot of meat. And we are going to saute that. And of course, if I had fresh garlic, I would absolutely use that. Now, for seasoning, you can use thyme, parsley. I'm sure you can use basil. You can use, let's see, what else would be good? Rosemary. So my parents are coming over for dinner, and my father is like super picky, and he doesn't like a lot of herbs, so I'm not using any. But of course you can add what you like to it. I will add a bay leaf to it though. That he won't complain about. So I'm also going to be using salt and pepper, and I'm going to use some smoked paprika. I think that just gives it a nice smoky flavor, not too much. I would say about a teaspoon or so is what just fell out. So use a measuring spoon. What is it? Do as I say, not as I do. But honestly, that's how I cook. I'm not one to measure a lot of things, so by all means, do what you think is best. So I'm going to let this go for a couple more minutes, and then we are going to deglaze our pan with some bourbon. You can use bourbon, or you can use a the other kind of whiskey. I can't think. Anyways, I'm using the bourbon. About a half a cup of that, and no, I'm not going to measure that either. We're also going to need a cup of beef broth or beef stock or bone broth, whatever you have. Of course, homemade is best, but, you know, just use what you have, what you can. This is starting to look pretty good here. And like I said, we're just developing flavors. We're not cooking anything. So I'm going to move that to the side, and I'm going to higher the heat to about medium-high. And I'm going to let that get nice and hot, so that way when we pour the bourbon in, it's really, really hot. Cooks off all of the liquor or alcohol, and then we will scrape up any of the good bits in here. Now, also, at this point, if you have tomato paste, you could put 2 tablespoons of tomato paste in here. That would be really, really, really good, but I don't have any, unfortunately. I will put the 2 tablespoons in, let it cook out for 2 minutes, and then continue with the bourbon. Okay, so it's been a couple minutes, and not too much. Also, if you have a gas flame, you probably are better off pouring that into a cup and then pouring it so you don't catch the whole bottle on fire. Also, if you don't have the bourbon, you can use red wine, you can use white wine, or you don't have to use any alcohol at all. You could do just straight chicken stock, beef broth, whatever it is you are using. Alright, so we're going to turn this off. And then I'm going to move you guys over to the Instant Pot. Alright, so the Instant Pot is all ready to go. Now, of course, at this point, if you were cooking this in the Instant Pot, you wouldn't have to transfer anything. But I'm not, so I have to. Alright. So I don't want to get in the way, but I gotta get all this out. Okay. Put that to the side. Now to this, we are going to add our beef stock, or beef broth. That's 1 cup. Or excuse me, 1.5 cups. And then, get them over here. We are going to add our short ribs to this. Now, we are braising, so that means we're not really going to cover it with liquid. And that's how you braise. You saute first, and then braise with the liquid in there, but not covering it in liquid. If you don't use the vegetables, of course you can just put a rack in there if you want and cook them. If you have any juices in the plate, put those in as well. I am going to leave this as is. I will put my Instant Pot top on. Make sure your sealing ring is pushed down. Let me move this so you can see. Up here, you want to make sure you're on sealing. Mine, I don't have to turn, but some of them you do. And then over here, you're going to hit pressure cook. You want it on high. And we're going to do this for 45 minutes to an hour. So I'm doing mine for 50. And you want to hit the start button. Some models you don't need to, some you do. And then once this comes up to pressure, which it's probably going to take about 10 or so, 15 minutes maybe to come up to pressure, the 50 minutes will come on the screen and then start counting down. After those 50 minutes, you're going to let it slowly release on its own for 15 minutes. Then you'll do a quick release afterwards. And then I'll show you what it looks like. Okay, so this is what it looks like when it's all done. So what I'm going to do is take out the ribs. And you can see how that meat just is nice and tender, comes right off. But it's not completely hanging off the bone where you can't serve it. And that's what you want, because you want to be able to serve this. And I'm going to take out all the meat. And I'm going to get all the veggies out, too. I'm going to make a mess with them, of course. Alright, so all that's out. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take all the vegetables out, and then I'm going to get, you can make a roux or you can use a slurry, whichever you'd prefer. And I'm going to make a gravy out of all that. Oh, there's a bone floating. Take that out after. Oh, there's another one. And like I said, these vegetables, some people don't serve them. So you don't have to if you really don't like that and you just want to use them for the flavor. I'm going to. But that's up to you. Some people also will take an immersion blender and blend that right into the sauce as well. And that'll help thicken it. So that's up to you how you guys want to do it. I'm probably just going to use a slurry because I think it'll be the easiest. Alright, so I'm just going to make that a sauce really quick. So you're going to hit cancel on this and then put it on saute high, start, and we'll get that going. And then I'm going to get probably, I would say 4 tablespoons water or broth to 1 tablespoon of cornstarch. Alright, so that came to a nice boil, so I'm just going to stir this up. If you're going to use a roux, then you could just mix your butter and flour and put it in there and stir it. Now, for this will thicken up really quick. The one thing I like to do is make these a little bit ahead of time, and then I let this sauce, gravy, whatever you want to call it, sit for a little bit and cool off. That way you can pull off, this has a lot of fat in it from the bones, the beef itself. So if you let this gravy sauce cool down, you could skim off all of the fat and then reheat it, and it'll be a lot less greasy. But it's super tasty. And then I just serve this with either polenta or mashed potatoes. You could also serve it with rice. And then once everything's all set, I will show you, I'll insert a picture of what it looks like when it's served. So I hope you guys enjoy this video and all of the other videos in the collab. And if you do, please give it a thumbs up, hit subscribe and share, and I'll talk to y'all next time. Bye.